school year, building those relationships with our teachers, but also the school admin as well. So I'm excited for you all to join, and welcome.
Awesome, awesome. So, as we can see for our greetings and our introduction portion, if you will just tell us your name, and we can, for the most part, we see your name, but tell us who you are representing. If you are from an agency or a center program, the workforce, and then what is one word that you would use to describe a strong homeschool partnership?
Good evening. My name is Melody Toes. Um, the center I was working for, they are closed, but I work for now the Cobb County School System in Special Education. And one word for a partnership for homeschool is a strong leader and a believer, person who believes in children.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, we actually want to do it in the chat because we only have like another minute before we have to move forward. And you will have an opportunity to introduce yourself a little later, Savita. So, all right, we've got a few people who are participating. Dr. Sheila, I just saw what you put in there about Melody. So we've got advocacy, we have joyfulness. Let me see, a strong homeschool partnership. And it said one word. I would say strength. Strength. That's my word. Yes. Okay, I thought I saw a hand raised. Maybe that was by mistake. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. And if I could get a volunteer to read our community agreements and how we will honor you all this evening.
I'll read. We honor your time, share speaking time and space, voice, one voice at a time, presence, quiet spaces, show your face. Ooh. Curiosity, inquire and seek clarity, respect, honor different perspectives and lived experiences, confidentiality, shared and learning, not the names of stories. I apologize for number 3. I just left the gym and yeah, look a hot mess. I just left
Listen, it's okay. If you can be on camera, we love it. If not, it is perfectly okay. We understand it's evening. Some people are still traveling. Some people are running through the door and pulled us up so they wouldn't miss anything. So that is perfectly all right. All right, so we can go on to the next slide.
Again, thank you all so much for being here. So I wanted to take a moment to remind you all of why we are here. So with Black Child Development Institute, our mission is to improve and advance the quality of lives for our Black children and families through education and advocacy. And we're in one of those spaces right now where we are advocating for our relationships with our families and our school educators. As you see here, we do have four focus areas that we do primarily focus on. We have our family engagement, where we host workshops and provide family resources. We recently had the amazing opportunity of attending the Fulton First back to school event in College Park. We spoke to close to 400 families. It was amazing to be there, to, hear their stories about their children and early learning experiences. So we had a great experience there. We have our early care and education focus area, where we have our Expand ECE. You just heard one of our amazing coaches, Dr. Sheila, where we pair up fellows who are going back to school to get their bachelor's or associate's degree. We provide them with a coach, and a support system to encourage them to fulfill their goals of achieving their higher education. Our third focus area is our literacy, where we have our Read to Succeed program, where our goal is to increase at-home libraries for children with books that reflect and look like them. We have received an amazing amount of donations. I have about 2,000 books right here in my space coming to a center near you. And then our final focus area is our public policy. We are in the process of relaunching our Lifted Voices Fellowship, where we're going to bring on some public education educators to join us to learn more about how they can be advocates for themselves, the children in their program, as well as their families. So we're excited to launch that. You should have received the newsletter today with the application. So if you know someone who is interested, please be willing to share with them that resource. Next, we're going to take a look at our NBCDI 8 essential outcomes. As you all are aware, we are a part of a larger village. So you are included in a large village of leaders and advocates who want to make sure that all children are provided these 8 essential outcomes to ensure that they are provided a quality early learning experience. As I mentioned with our 4 focus areas, out of the 8 essential outcomes, we are very excited to say that we do support 6 of the 8. Our goal is to make sure that we have access and resources to all 8 outcomes to share them with our families, as well as our educators and the community.
All right. So
Now, you know I ain't just accepting that. What happened?
So, again, for those of you who are new to our community cafe is an environment where families, child-serving professionals, and early education stakeholders can support each other's journey to improve and advance the quality of life for Black children and their families. And so it's open to everyone, right? Because everybody's part of a family. And if you're not a child-serving professional, you should be an early education stakeholder, because the children are our future. And without them, I know I'm going to be old one day and they will be making decisions about my life. So I'm very concerned about what happens to them now. So no, you can go to the next one. But I was going to say, let us save that one. And I was looking, I don't see her. Maybe I sent a quick text. You want to do it now? I was going to see if more people hop on. I've got some thunder rumbling, so I don't know if it's raining in some areas. Tati, what you think? Do it now or wait after the panel?
Let's wait and see.
Okay. Okay. If you all give me 2 seconds, I am going to send this text. All right, you can go to the guest panelist slide, Lubna. Here we go. So as I shared with you earlier, we have 3 amazing guest panelists that will speak to us tonight. We have some questions that we're going to ask them and that they will answer. And then, time permitting, we will open up the floor for questions from the audience or the participants. And so we are going to start. Okay, thank you, Lube. We are going to start by allowing them to introduce themselves. We might see someone who's very familiar. We know her as our amazing president of BCDI-Atlanta, but as you can see tonight, she is a KIPP parent. So she is representing BCDI, our guest panelist, as a parent from the parent perspective. So we have Savita Harvey Guthrie, and then we have Angie Dutch. So we are going to start by letting Savita, if you will just take maybe 2 minutes, introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and maybe even why you do it.
Greetings, everyone. I am Savita Harvey Guthrie, and I am an Atlanta native, a graduate of Benjamin E. Mays High School, a graduate of Spelman College, 1988, the great 88, and also a graduate of Brenau University. I am a retired educator. I've retired after 35 years of teaching, but I am still working because now I am a part-time EIP teacher in Fulton County Schools. So that is the early intervention process. So that means that we go into the classroom and get the lower 20% of students, and we work to bring them up, bring their scores up so that they can do better on their diagnostic testing as well as the GMAS. So I've been doing this quite a long time. I love it. I love the babies, especially kindergarten is my called place. And I love it because I love to see the growth in kindergarten. What you get on day one is not what finishes with you on the 180th day. And so I love to see the growth of the children during that time. So my word earlier was intentional. And I think that all teaching has to be intentional for the thriving and growth of all students.
Awesome. Thank you, Savita. Thank you so much. And yay, Angie, I see. How was I supposed to know that was you? That's not your name.
I have no idea how to get that off of it, off of here. So
Well,
I'm
listen.
so sorry.
Now
I'll
you
work
came
on it.
on
That was
camera.
probably the last event I went to. So,
Okay, well, that's all right.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
that I see your face, I know, because I wrote it down. I was like, who is that person? So welcome, Angie Dutch. If you will now take a few moments to introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Okay, well, my name is Angie Dutch, and I work with APEC Family Foundation. And what we do is we have one preschool location and 15 on-site after-school programs, and we actually operate inside of Fulton County Schools. So we're excited. We opened up 4 new locations and programs this school year, which was exciting, but a whole lot of work. In fact, that's why I'm a little bit late today. But we do, I think we all do what we do because if not you, then who? And like you said, the future is whether you have children, whether you like children, all that's, but there's no question these children are going to rule the world one day. So if we don't pour something into them, they'll be pouring something on top of us one day. So I guess that's the kind of reason why I do what I do.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And Tatiana, we are going to have you to introduce yourself as the KIPP parent. So tell us who you are, what you do as a KIPP parent, and why you do it.
Good evening, everyone. I am Tatiana Elmore, and I am a KIPP family communication champion. And I do what I do because it is hard work, even for this role with the KIPP program, just being able to have relationships with other parents, hearing their concerns. So being parent to parent to support the betterment, not only for our children, but for the school. So I enjoy working with the school systems, also have a passion for early learning. So I've wore many hats in the early learning arena, but I'm excited to be here to share my experience as a parent.
Awesome. Awesome. Tatiana has 2 amazing, beautiful little girls. And some of you, if you missed our community cafe back in May, you need to go to our YouTube channel and watch. She actually was my co-moderator for that panel. And so you'll get to see Tamara Elmore in action, as well as she was one of our readers last year for our Mayor Summer Reading Club 2024. So Tamara is following in her mommy's footsteps and is already on that leadership track. All right, so panelists, what we're going to do is oh, there they are. Come on in, girls. We can't see them. There she is. Hey, Tamara. So we're going to ask a question that will be directed specifically to our panelists. And then panelists, if you will take maybe 2 or 3 minutes or not too much more than that, to try and answer the question for us as fully as you can. Okay. So let me see. Our first question is going to be for Miss Angie Dutch. So Angie, how does your after school program serve as a bridge between families and schools? Uh-oh, you muted.
I'm so sorry. That's the real point and really mission of our after school program, is to bridge that gap between, if there are any gaps between families and parents and the schools. So most parents have to work. So that's a long day for students, and after school should not be just an afterthought. So we try to bring in some enrichment and some meaningful program, because a lot of these children don't get home until after 7 o'clock. So that's a long 12-hour day for a lot of children. And we offer some incentives for parent participation. I actually got involved with schools. My background is construction, but I made a big career change 21 years ago and decided to do this. And a lot of that was born out of my personal involvement in my children's schools. So our first contract was actually in my own children's elementary school. So that's a real the importance. And the only difference between, I hope we can speak frankly in this environment, is the only real difference between other schools and our community schools is parental involvement. So it's the same budget in North Fulton County that it is in South Fulton County. We have had our ancestors pave that road, so we don't have those types of inequities. But what we do find is a big gap in terms of participation from the community, from the businesses in the community, from the parents, from the families, from all of that. So we do a lot of things to incentivize our parents to get them involved with the school directly.
Awesome. And that was a two-part question, but you kind of answered it when you talked about the fact that in our communities, in our Black communities, predominantly Black communities, we do not have as much even community support of our schools as they may have in other areas. And so it is extremely important for APEC to be who they are and where they are and doing what they do. So thank you for that. Our next question is going to be for Miss Guthrie, Miss Savita Guthrie. All right, Savita. What specific strategies do you or have you used in your classroom to make parents feel welcomed and comfortable communicating with you, especially those who might be hesitant to reach out?
Wow. Well, first, I'm a people person, so I try to make all of my parents feel welcome in my classroom, or formerly in my classroom. Some of the things that I did, especially during our technology time, I would do weekly, what do you call them? I would get on we have Class Dojo. So first of all, putting our parents on Class Dojo. It's a great way to get in touch with me, and a great way for me to stay in touch with parents, showing them things that are going on in the classroom. So taking pictures so they can see their children at work. Also, on Fridays, I would get in and I would talk about things that were happening during the week, things that they needed to look out for. And then I would also do a make and take every week for the parents. And so, especially with kindergarten, a lot of parents are concerned about their children reading or recognizing letters, numbers. And so based on what our skills were for the week, I would get on Fridays, and I would show parents things that they could do to work with their children at home using the same skills and using some things that they may have at home. So a cookie sheet with some magnetic letters and magnetic numbers is wonderful for a parent. They're able to put words together. Also looking around the house, if they need to make tens. Then this is really old school. When I first started, just get some black-eyed peas and some those little paint sticks, and you can glue the peas on the sticks, and then you have tens, and then you use the peas by themselves as ones. So just some things that they could do at home, not having to always go out and buy things. And also, it was a way for the parents to be able to have some quality time with their child, and also seeing what they were learning at school as well. Another thing that I did, I would give my number. Now, a lot of teachers these days don't necessarily give out their home number or their private number, but I would, so that when parents had something going on that they knew that I needed to know, they could either text me or call me. But I would always tell them, because I'm a parent as well, if I don't get back to you immediately, I will get back to you that night. I'll text you or I'll call you in the morning. But I always try to make it a priority to get to the parent. And that makes parents feel good to know that you are actually trying to, that you will actually take time from your schedule to get back to them, but also letting them know that you too have a life outside of school. And so, sometimes it's a little hard to balance, but we would do those kinds of things. We would do newsletters. That's a great way to keep parents involved. And sometimes just calling and saying, hey, just checking in with you. How are things going? What is it that you need from me? So sometimes just making random phone calls to parents to just to let them know that you're thinking, especially if they have something going on at the house. Also, I would also let them know you're welcome to come to my room at any time, because what you see is what it is. And so the parents knew that they could come and observe during that time, and we would welcome them. Of course, I would always have something for them to do when they came, because my room, I always had papers everywhere. So again, that made the parents feel useful and feel a part. I'm a snack person, so I would always invite the parents, hey, can you bring some snacks for us? And then I would tell them the snacks that I loved, and they were happy to do those kinds of things. But it made the parents feel a part of the room. And anytime they wanted to have a conference, I would let them know that I was available. But I would tell them, I'm not a morning person, but you catch me every afternoon. I'm always there late in the evening, so we can meet in the evening time. So I made myself available to them. And so I think, again, being intentional and trying to make the parents feel a part, because many of them feel as though, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do that. And you never want the parent to feel like, I can't help my child. So I always try to find practical ways that they will be able to do that. I hope that was 2 minutes and not longer.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. That was a lot, but it was good, juicy stuff. And if you weren't taking notes, that's okay, because you can catch the replay on our YouTube channel shortly after this meeting. But Savita gave us a lot of things. And I think for me, the biggest out of all the strategies that she said, my biggest takeaways were that she got parents involved. She made sure she extended hospitality and let them know that they were welcome and that she was open to receive any of the communication that they needed to share with her. And she created ways to give parents ways to get involved with their children that didn't really cost any money. So thank you for that, Savita. That was awesome. So we are going to move to our parent. And your first question is, what made you feel most welcomed and supported when building relationships with your child's teachers and school?
So Miss Savita definitely hit it on the nail with her comments and her responses. She truly painted the picture of what a welcoming class and relationship should look like. So I would say I always feel the most welcome when teachers are approachable and open, able to have conversations and dialogues. It also makes a difference when they recognize you and they greet you by name and, ask you about your day. It makes a difference that it makes it feel like they care. Another way is also building those relationships where you can feel comfortable coming into the classroom to be an observer. My daughter has been at KIPP since kindergarten, and she is now in 8th grade. Every year I was in the classroom stapling papers, putting papers in folders, putting things, being organized. It was my way of not letting go, but also showing the teacher that, hey, I'm a inviting parent. I'm willing to help and assist any way that I can be, but just being able to have them be open and approachable makes the difference when trying to build that welcoming and warm relationship with my children's teachers.
I didn't mute myself this time. Awesome. Something you said, well, two things you said made me think about that phrase, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it sounds like, from a parent's perspective, parents need to know that the school and the educators and everyone in that school community cares not only about their child, but cares about them as a family. And so that was awesome, Tatiana. Thank you for that. So we're going to go back to Miss Angie. And let me see. Where's my question? Okay. What have you observed? You kind of talked about it a little bit. So this is two parts. I'm going to give you both parts. What have you observed about families who are most engaged with their children's education? And what barriers have you seen that prevent other families from being as involved?
I think that what I've observed in Fulton County schools is parents are extremely welcome. The teachers are doing a lot to make the parents feel welcome. I have a great story. My children were in middle school at Sandtown Middle School. They had an amazing art teacher, and she wanted to do recycle art with the kids. So she asked for you to save your trash for recycling. So I did it for a few months, and I took a big bag full of trash to the school, and she fell into my arms in tears. She appreciated it so much. I mean, the appreciation that you get from your schools is from our schools and our community. Unfortunately, because it's so rare, they just make you feel like $1 million, and I always had teachers where they had my little work desk. They had my little pile, a little milk crate or something with all my work, because they know I'm going to be wherever my children are. But I feel like some of the barriers that keep people that I didn't realize, because when I got involved, I didn't understand why everybody wasn't involved, because my mother was a PTA officer and that's the way we had been raised. But what I learned was people who have had negative experiences at school themselves, when they become parents, they come into school with their fists balled up. I mean, it's really weird. I mean, even as young as kindergarten, no matter how young it is, they have that print in their minds, and they just come in so angry and mad. And I know that she's out to get my kid. I mean, they have all these things in their head that's from some trauma that they've experienced. So that was something that I had to learn and kind of learn how to meet parents where they are, in terms of, I had positive experiences in school. My parents were involved parents. So I went and did what I needed to do, or what I thought was my job to do. But those of us who didn't may have another experience. So you have to kind of talk them through that, to say, this is not this. Now, what did she really do? I was always the liaison between the community and the schools, even before I got into this business, because, well, what's really happening here? Because parents are quick to come out. The first people they cuss out is the teachers, which it seems crazy to me, because these are people who have your small children. But for some reason, they have this sense of entitlement, or think it's okay for them to handle educators a certain way. It's really backwards. But a lot of it, I found out, is born from their own traumas that they've had. And it doesn't take but one negative experience to print you and to think all teachers don't like you. I've talked to my teachers a lot about not using sarcasm with kids, because you may not mean any harm, but just being sarcastic with a kid, can leave a print and a trauma on them. So they shared many stories after we kind of peel back that onion, and they start sharing those stories. And then I start convincing them that this is not the experience that your child is going to have here. Look at the experience that my child is having. Look at this, look at the other. And then taking away those excuses too, because, they all say I've worked, I don't know who they think I am, but I worked. I never lived off a trust fund or anything like that. We all work, we all have responsibilities, but they don't miss the one-day sale at Macy's. So why is it that you can't, in a whole semester, come and volunteer a few hours in your child's class? Like Ms. Guthrie said, either in the morning or in the evening. None of these people really work 12 hours a day. So either you have a morning or you have a few minutes in the afternoon. So just not taking away those excuses to say this is what we all have to do. And I don't want to talk too long, but I think this is a societal problem for us because we're the only country where education is an entitlement. Other countries where everybody doesn't get educated and you have to make an effort to get an education. They don't have discipline problems. They don't have parents that come up and cuss teachers out, try to fight teachers. I mean, I've seen it all, in my schools, and it's just really, it's pathetic. And we got to get away from that mentality of this is not automatic. Nobody owes you an education. You know what I'm saying? It's a privilege to get a free education, and everybody didn't get one. Some people are paying top dollar for their kids to be educated a certain way. So I hope that the public schools will eventually come up with something. I think they do it at the charter schools, at places like KIPP. Their parent requirements. See, we think in the public schools, and Ms. Guthrie, I'm sure can attest to this. They think that you just got to do whatever I tell you to, like you work for me. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. And that's not we got to change that mentality in our community so that we honor our education and our educators, and then the environment in the schools will improve.
Awesome. Awesome. Miss Angie, I was a parent liaison briefly at an elementary school, and I said the same thing to a group of teachers about sometimes parents have had negative experiences with school. And so the reason they are not as involved is it could be because of the trauma. And it was funny because they were a lot younger, and they had never thought about it from that perspective. And so you're right. I think that shifting that mindset is much needed, and it's going to take all of us, right? It's going to take all of us working together. And how do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so one bite at a time is, and I think if we're all biting from the same elephant and we're all chewing it up really well, then eventually we're going to eat it and it's going to be gone. And then we will begin to see the shifting of parents returning back to those values that you grew up with your parents, and I grew up, and many of us did. All right, thank you. So our next question is for Ms. Guthrie. Ms. Guthrie, how did you handle situations where there is a disconnect between what's happening at home and what's happening at school? So what are some of the things that you did to help bridge that gap?
There were disconnects often. And so I saw different things in my career. So when I started out in Atlanta Public Schools at Bethune Elementary School on Northside Drive, which was the Bluff, Herndon Homes, that area. And so though the parents did not know a lot and did not know much, they really desired that their children would do better than they did. And let me say this, through all of my career, I would say that all parents want the best for their children. They don't always know how to go about getting the best for their children. So every parent you ever will meet wants their child to do better than they are doing. They just don't always have the resources or know where to go and get the resources. And so I say that to say, in the beginning of my career at Bethune, where I spent 28 years, so that was majority of my career, the parents were loving. They came in. If we said that we were having problems with the children, it was no problem for us to call a parent. And that's where I learned what Mother's Day was, which is the first of the month. And they would always tell us, if you're having a problem with the student, go to the house on Mother's Day. And we would drive and go up to Herndon Homes. And even the respect of the educators at that time was great in the projects or wherever they were living. They would see the teachers and they would say, "Here come the teachers. Oh, that's that Miss Harvey. hey, Miss Harvey. And I'll tell them who I'm looking for, and they would run to the place, to the home, and then they would show me where to go. And so at that time, parents wanted you to come to their home. They would, whatever advice you gave, they would take it, and they would try to implement it in their home. And so you would see a difference with the children as far as discipline, as far as getting the work done. I've even had parents who couldn't write try to write me a letter, say, will you help my child? And so again, intentional. So what did that help me as a teacher do? That helped me to push harder for their children, because I knew they really wanted their children to be successful, for that year that they were with me. Now, as things have changed, the latter end of my career, parents still wanted the same thing, but I heard Ms. Dutch say entitlement. So that is what has come in now. People think they're entitled. And so because they feel they are entitled, they feel as though the teacher owes them something, and not realizing that we are helping your child. And so then, not that they don't want better for their children, they do, but then they think their children are entitled to have certain things. So I think in some ways we did a disservice when we began to give children or give parents a lot of things free, even though there are some that needed it. But then you started getting those that don't need it. They started getting it and then started to believe, hey, I'm supposed to have this. Whereas when I first started teaching, we were out trying to find things to give their children, and a lot of them didn't want to accept it because they didn't want you to think that they were unable to do for their children. So everything's kind of flipped. So how do I bridge that gap? And again, it is to try to make the parent feel welcome. It is to try to make the parent feel like, hey, I disappeared. Okay, it is to make the parent know that, hey, I'm working for your child. I'm doing your best. Hey, how can I help you? So, actually reaching out. Mom, is there something that I can do to help at home? So if it is a fact of, hey, we don't have any coats at home. I don't have a coat for my child. Hey, Mom, let me see where some resources we have here at school. So I have to be intentional about making the parents feel as though I actually care. And so when I was younger, one thing that I did, I pretended, and this is before I waited late to have a child. So in the beginning, I pretended like all of those, they were my children. And I treated them the way that I want my child to be treated. And so if it meant that I had to clean somebody up because they had gotten sick and mama wasn't there at that point, then at that point I was mama and I had to clean them up. Now I might have been looking a little crazy, but even still, I did that for them because I would want someone to do that for my child. And so then as a teacher, you begin to find ways to make the parents feel as though and know that you really do care. And so it really is your intentionality, being intentional. Now, a lot of teachers, especially the younger ones these days, don't necessarily have that intentionality. And it's also how you look at it. Again, kindergarten is my called place. And so because of that, I handled myself differently. If I'm looking at this as just a job where I'm going to receive a paycheck, then I'm going to handle the parents and everyone else that comes my way differently. And so I just encourage all those that want to go into teaching. It is the best field that you could ever go into. Everything is not monetary that you receive. It really is priceless. When I see the children that I taught in kindergarten and now they are grown with their own children, then that is when I know, hey, I have done something good. I have poured into someone and it has yielded a harvest. So as you go about, just make sure that you're being intentional about making parents feel good about wherever it is they are, and that you are there to help them as much as you possibly can.
Awesome. Awesome. Wow. This is good stuff, y'all. All right. I have another question for our parents, Miss Tatiana. For parents who might feel intimidated about reaching out to teachers or getting involved at school. So this goes kind of back to what Miss Angie was saying earlier, right? What encouragement and or practical tips would you offer to them?
I would first, reassure them to let them know that you all are a team. I believe it was maybe Miss Dutch or Miss Savita who said it. We're working together for the greater good of that child. The teachers truly want your child to succeed just as much as you do. But we have to remember that it takes for each of us to build that relationship with the teacher to make sure that we are ourselves as a parent approachable and open to receiving communication, because we understand that the teacher is with our child throughout that day. They may see things that we don't see, but we have to be able to be open to receiving that feedback, but them also being willing to hear our understanding, our interpretations, because your perspective is valuable. What you see at home is valuable. So we want to make sure that as you're, again, this is the beginning of the school year, start having those meaningful conversations with your teachers. Don't wait to parent teacher conference. Don't wait until little Johnny can't get right before you have that initial approach to even feel the temperature of who your teacher is. I'm that parent, y'all. I'm the parent that asks all the questions. I'm always raising my hand. Parents nudging me like, ask, because I'm sitting like, wait, but being willing to ask those hard questions as well, because again, it's going to take two to tango to make sure that our children are successful. We want to make sure that by asking these questions, it's showing the teacher that we are making that step to building that strong school home partnership with that first conversation. So be willing to be involved, be willing to ask questions, but keep in mind you are a team in this approach. Team Kid.
And I'm sorry, Sharon. I just wanted to piggyback off that. I totally agree, because it's like I would say a pyramid. It just goes around parent, teacher, and then community. That really is how it is. And the parent and the teacher have to come together in order for the success of the child. And when the child knows that home and school are in sync, they perform much better. They are much more successful when they know that home and school are together.
We need to go back to, I'm an 80s baby, Southside Chicago, but I learned about the whole it takes a village when I was maybe in 6th grade, but I learned about that through the actual visual. My mom was a single mom of 4. She worked very hard, had an older brother who was possibly tapping into some bad behavior, but we had Mr. Lee, the music teacher. Go get Mr. Lee. Terry out there cutting up. He was everybody's uncle. We need those relationships again. And even being at KIPP, I think I became a family communication champion because I kept asking those questions. I kept being involved. I wanted my children to my child to succeed. So when they came up with the position, oh, Miss Elmore, go get her. She's always at the front desk. She's always asking questions. She's always volunteering, because I remember that experience from 6th grade on up, understanding this is a village. This is a school, but it's the village that's going to help create our children's passion for what they want to do in the future, help them build the relationships, not only with their peers, but with adults. Tamara has her counselor since primary, is still her counselor in middle school, even though she's not supposed to be. But this counselor was also a colleague of mine when Tamara was 1. So this village is possibly going to carry her on even into high school. Her checking in, making sure Tamara's okay and adjusting. But going back to what I said, as far as a team, you are building your team this school year. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. Be willing and open to communicating and being honest and transparent.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I have one final question. And if Each panelist would just give us a snippet. And then we will have our table talk time. So if you could give parents and educators just one piece of advice for building stronger school-home partnerships, homeschool partnerships that truly benefit children, what would it be?
I'll take that one. I'll take that one first, Ms. Sharon. I think some good advice would be for parents or teachers, and either one of them could plan it, because I've never planned anything that, and a teacher told me, no, I'm not interested in doing that. If I'm willing to plan it, maybe buy some muffins, you can't put something on a teacher to do. The list is, they already have too much to do. So you plan it, but a parent or the teacher could plan that early mixer, an early event, casual event, to just literally get to know each other, where you just sit, the teacher's not in her, suit and, work, very proper, like she's being evaluated. Everybody's just kind of in a common ground, in a common place, maybe some donuts, something you can get at Publix on the sale, the day old side. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. That's why I'm saying, don't give your teachers something else to do. You do it. I bet you they won't say no. I bet you all the tea in China. I bet Ms. Guthrie has never said no to not one event that a parent has been willing to plan and execute for her. So they're going to say yes, and just say, hey, I just want to have the parents come in for coffee this morning and stay for a few minutes, and get to know you better, not to interrupt instructional time, but doing that early. So you have that open door, and they have that, and you can break. And one thing about, I learned with dealing with parents who had traumas in school is, if you didn't have a trauma, take that parent by the hand and walk them. I was always a anti-bully person. So anybody that was picked on became my best friend. So take that person by the hand and take them and introduce them to the teacher. Because they're going to think, I know that Tatiana gets this, but they think you're somehow well connected, like you got some kind of inroad to the teacher, and all you've done is probably bring them a bag of garbage like I did in middle school. You might have sharpened some pencils one day or stapled some papers, so they think, oh, she's got the in crowd, like you've been bribing them or something. I don't know what they think, but take them by the hand and take them over and introduce them to the teacher, so they know that, hey, this is okay. I had somebody, I bribed some parents to come to a community event where they got to meet their school board representative. We have these community meetings all the time. And I had a parent say, I didn't know I was allowed to talk to people like this. What? Like, you elected this person. She is here she works for you. Literally, she works for you. You know what I'm saying? And she's willing. She's coming all the way almost to your house to meet you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, of course, you have every right to meet. You can talk to them. You can ask them anything. They can't always say yes, but you can ask them for anything. And if they know you're interested in it, they can start a new push for something. But yeah, so those are those traumas. So take somebody by the hand that you might see kind of off to the side. And the best person is the worst kid in the class, the worst behaved kid in the class. Parents are the ones who need you. If you got a good situation, you've been blessed with I hope you've been blessed with that situation. It's not really anything you did or didn't do. It's just God. You just got the blessing. Somebody else got another set of blessings that theirs may not be showing right now. Take that worst kid in the class, mom, by the hand, and you're going to change the experience for every child in the class, including your own. So that's my little bit of advice. My kids are 28 and 30.
and doing well, I might add. So we already know that homeschool partnership works. It works. Mm-hmm. Okay, it looked like Ms. Guthrie, you would get ready to speak.
Yes, I think listening. I would say listen. As a parent, you have to listen. Listen to what's being said. Also, listen for what is not being said. And then, as a teacher, you have to listen. A lot of times the parents are holding in, they have their own things going on, and they're doing the best that they possibly can. And, sometimes as teachers, we tend to make assumptions, by what the kids do or don't do. the parents didn't do this because, and so we have to be careful about the assumptions that we tend to make as a teacher. And so that's why when you call the parent, it's listen. And for the teacher, when the parent calls, listen. So it really does go both ways. And I think too, because of how parents tend to automatically jump on the teacher, because everybody's so sensitive nowadays about how their children are being treated or not being treated. And so they already come in with their armor on. Teachers are already expecting someone to jump on them because of what they said. So they come in with their armor on. But if everybody will come in and say, hey, I want to hear what you're saying. I may not agree, but I still want to hear what you're saying, and vice versa. I think it would be much better. So listening.
Awesome. Thank you.
And for me, I'll just add really quickly. It's been the word that I've said throughout the entire evening is my best advice would be to communicate, which is the word, but with respect and empathy. You know, as you both said, there's an armor there, there's some toxicity there, but for the parents, it's about making sure that you understand that the teacher is truly trying to do the best that they can. You know, they do a lot of work and it's hard work. So as we're communicating with them, showing them respect, but also showing them some empathy and understanding the level of the work that they're doing. But also for educators, it's about recognizing that every family situation is different. You do not know what's going on once that 3:30 or 3:45 for my kids bell rings. So being able to communicate with the families with respect and empathy, and you may not understand why and how they're in that situation, but understand that they are in that situation and they need you to perform your best to make sure that their child is a success as best as possible. And with those approaches coming together with strong communication, strong respect, is going to make sure that that child is equipped and prepared as they transition from that classroom. But making sure we have that relationship with the educator and the parent is going to be very crucial.
Awesome. Awesome. So, okay. So I just want to say, okay, I thought I was muted. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you to our panelists. It's not over yet. And so hopefully one of our panelists will end up in your room and you may be able to ask them some more questions. But I do want to give us the table talk time just so that you all can have some time to digest this a little bit, talk it through a little bit more. So Lubna, if you will go to the next slide. And hopefully our breakout rooms have been set up. What's one idea you could take home or to school and try this month? So all of us here, as I said, we are either parents with children who are in school, we are educators who are working in the school with parents, or we are stakeholders in the community and we care about what happens and what goes on in our environments with our children. And so in your small groups, we are only going to do it for about 5 or 6 minutes. I want you all to just really think about, from everything that we talked about, everything that you heard, what's one thing that you personally can try this month to strengthen the school-home relationships at the school, in your community, in your classroom, with your child's teachers. So Lubna, you let us know when the rooms are ready.
Thank you all.
Woohoo. All right, so now we are going, if we would like for you all to do our survey. I know that I'm one that I don't like them, but I have learned to be more intentional, as Ms. Guthrie said, with doing them, because you all, this is how we continue to get funded. This is data. And I know Miss Angie can relate. When you go to funders, they want to see data. They want to know how many people came. What did they learn anything?
And they
So-
love surveys. They always want a survey.
Always. We survey people to the end of the world. And so the survey link is in the chat, and we are going to give you about 3 minutes. If you don't finish it in 3 minutes, just leave your browser open. And as soon as we end, if you will finish it up for us, that would be awesome. Last time we all were together, we had 100% of our surveys returned. So we were excited about that. I'm going to be quiet. Awesome. All right, we're going to move forward.
All right, I believe this is me right here. So thank you all for staying on. We have been so busy, and the busy does not stop. We have our upcoming NBCDI conference is coming up October 24th through October 26th. Please make sure you stay tuned to our newsletter. Okay, I'll come back to that. Stay tuned to our newsletter. The theme for this year is Infinite Possibilities, Tangible Realities. We're so excited for the National to come to our city and town. It will be at the Signia Hotel that is directly across the street from, or same property as the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We will also, BCDI Atlanta will host a special event on that Friday at the Signia Hotel. So stay tuned for more information. Also, because you are here today, you have taken the time to join us. We would like to also offer you an opportunity to volunteer at the conference. If you or a staff member or someone that you know that is dedicated to the work of supporting Black children and families, please share our newsletter and this link. We are looking for serious volunteers. We do understand it is a few days, but as you fill out the registration, you'll be able to select your time and date. It does ask you to be committed for 3 days. That is not accurate. If you can only be committed for 1 day for 3 hours, please shoot us an email after you complete the registration to info@bcdiatlanta.org and let us know the date and time that you are available, because again, we want to make sure that it is realistic as we're plugging individuals in. So again, registration is open. The call for proposal has closed. So for those that are inquiring, those have closed. They are hosting a special the inaugural Books, Toys, and Media Awards ceremony on that Saturday. You want to be there, so try to volunteer. This is going to be a room full of stars and just an opportunity to connect with individuals who have done hard work with putting books, toys, and media together to support Black and Brown children and families. As the previous slide said, we are still celebrating Summer Fridays. We're off on Fridays for the rest of August to take time to be with our families, to take time while their children are at school, to have a mental health day for ourselves. But starting September, we will be open 5 days a week and resume business as normal. All right, our next quarterly meeting is coming up on Tuesday, October 14th. We will start with our business meeting. This annual meeting is open to our members only, so you must be a member in order to register and join the annual business meeting. This is the time where you get to know what's going on with our finances. You get a deeper dive into understanding what's happening within our programs, but also being able to provide input and support to help us move forward for the next year. Then following the annual business meeting, we have our quarterly village meeting where we will have a guest speaker that will come and support us, as each October we put together and have conversation around our legislative priorities. And as we have our new Lifted Voices Fellowship policy and advocacy program coming up, you'll get to meet them during that call, but also hear from some speakers that can show us how we can advocate for our families and children within the early learning and public education space. So please make sure you register on our website, and the link is in the chat. That's it.
Awesome. So I'm just going to share a few resources that we have available to you. Next slide. Our Nurture. We have 2 volumes of our Nurture journal, a peer-reviewed journal. And if anyone is wondering where volume 3 is, we are looking for some volunteers to help head up that effort. Okay. It took a lot to do those journals. It's a lot of work, and we are a smaller team right now. So, they are free on our website for you to download. We encourage you to go and download them, read the articles. There are some really great articles in both of those editions. We also have our leadership, our LEAN, our Leadership and Equity Advancement Network. So LEAN exists on our website. It's a community just like Facebook, so we encourage you to join. The other thing is LEAN is back with our gatherings. We used to do LEAN gatherings, and we call them Lattes and Learning now. We had an amazing Lattes and Learning in June with some speakers. We talked about fathers, amazing information, great interaction and engagement. So make sure you stay on the lookout for our next LEAN gathering, lattes and learning, which will actually be September. I think it's the 12th. It's always the second Friday of whatever month we do it. So this one is in September. The next one's in September. And one of my favorites, and Tatiana, after tonight, I think I am going to have to get with Miss Savita Guthrie as one of my consulting advisors to help me pull this together, because that Black Eyed Peas and the Sticks was amazing, right? Our activity guides, we have about 13 activity guides on our website. Some of them are connected to books that we have distributed. Some of them are just theme-based, like our August is filled with activities for back to school. We have 2 of them for some issues. There's a birth to 5, and then there's a age 6 to 8, because we serve children and families. Our target population is birth to age 8. We don't have enough downloads. I need your help in getting the information out. It is free $99. It's a free download. 13 free downloads full of activities you could do with children in your classroom and at home. So we're talking about that homeschool connection, right? Teachers, if you download it, right? If you need a QR code, send it to me. I'm sure we have a QR code somewhere where we can send you, and your parents can scan it right quick. They can download it. Maybe ask them to do an activity like Savita says she asked her parents to do activities at home, and then have them take pictures and report back to you how it turned out. Okay, so please, let's all go and download these, share. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Our marketing team used to do them. When I had to do them, I am not, that is not in my wheelhouse. Okay, it took me a lot longer, I'm sure, to put those guys together than it did for Cole. So I'm going to turn it back over to our president parent to take us home.
Awesome. Thank you all again for being here tonight. We just want to share some ways to get involved. As I mentioned, we are a membership-based organization, so we're always looking for members. We do have member engagement activities, such as one of the activities being a volunteer for the upcoming conference. You also do receive discounts on our professional development opportunities and early access to our resources and support. Share your story. We want to know, how are we doing since our queen bee has made her transition? How are we doing? Are we living up to your expectations as a part of this new transition? Please be willing to share your story. Please be willing to reach out and say, hey, you know what? That was really good, but you should have had this person on the call or that person. Please be willing to share resources with us, because our goal is to make sure that the community is aware of the resources that are out there. Give today. We are a nonprofit organization, so we're always looking for ways to increase our support. And in order to do that, we do need donations. If you have a great fundraising idea, please be willing to share that with us, that we may also be able to partake in fundraising opportunities in the community. Please, before you leave today, subscribe to our newsletter. We have lots of things going on. The summer was busy, and you are about to see why and how in our next e-blast that's coming up. But please subscribe to our newsletter so you can stay up to date with the happenings with BCDI-Atlanta. All right, the next slide, we have a new phone. Oh, wait, no. Yes, there is an e-blast that went out today, but there's so much going on that I needed to separate everything that has been going on. So you'll see more coming out. And what we do is our newsletter goes out the first Tuesday of each month. Then we typically send an e-blast or reminder emails on the second Tuesday. Third Tuesdays, we like to sometimes spotlight our community partners, or if there's a lot of community events taking place in the community, we like to do that. But typically, we do push out communication on Tuesday. If you know something that's going on, Miss Angie, if you're having a kickoff or an enrollment party, let us know so our community can know. Even, the ribbon cutting for your new 4 centers, anything that's going on in the community. We want to be that resource hub to provide the community with access to knowledge of those resources. But yes, I was really excited about this. We have a new phone number. Guess what? You can call and talk to a person who works for BCDI Atlanta. So we are really, really proud of that, because we want to make sure that as we're bringing in new programs, bringing in new opportunities, we want our community to be able to speak to someone who can answer all of their questions. So please take note of our new phone number. You may reach Lubna, or you may reach myself, or you may reach Sharon, but you will be able to speak with someone who is familiar with the organization and can answer your question. As always, your support and your presence being here has been invaluable. Thank you so much for your conversations and your support during this call. And we look forward to seeing you at future events. Have a good evening. Goodbye. Farewell.
So much for coming.
Good night.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you again.